exciting.
Of course, I'm excited to see Craig.
You'd rather see me or Craig?
Mm.
One person is here and the other person is not here.
See.
You can go here.
Yeah, but I tell the truth, so.
Please.
I had to get out of the camera. Yeah. It's 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. We'll sign technical difficulties.
Somebody got another concussion. That yes.
What do you want? Yes. Well, we can start our picture's not here. They don't like us.
English copy.
I have one more, but I would love to. You guys can have it, and then if I have to ask questions on the exact information, that'd be
Well,
manageable by sometime.
I have my copy. They could be emailed me.
Oh,
Some things I can't open up on the phone, and that was one file
well,
that
pretty big, and I try to make it small as possible.
could not be opened on.
There's, I think, like 15 drawings on it or something, so it's pretty big. To try to.
Okay, are we all ready to start? Because I'm getting ready to start recording. I know we're recording off of YouTube, but I didn't mind.
What?
I'm asking everybody if they're ready to start. No, we don't have many here, but I've got these notes.
Coming in right now.
I was trying. Daycare parent, Rachel. I said daycare parent.
Okay. I was gonna cut the coffee back there, so I'm gonna go get it.
I did bring it in, sure.
Okay. It is now 6:04, we'll say. I'm getting ready to call the Town of Linville Redevelopment Commission special meeting to order. If we stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have all recorded on?
Yes,
David, do you have your recording?
Yes.
So that worked out pretty well.
I like
I
that.
could just edit.
And as we are doing this with special recorders and AI magic that Joe loves, let's try not to talk over each other, as it makes it very difficult sometimes to edit the minutes. So let's try to do that. And I know I butt in as much as anybody, and we'll try to watch that. Roll call. Chris Wisher, Mindy Green.
Here.
Rachel Titzer,
Present.
Doris Horn,
Present.
Alan Ritchie,
President.
Joe Weidrich,
Here.
Dave Goldenberg, here. Has everyone been able to look at the great minutes that was presented to us? Review those. If anybody has any questions, we can do that. If not, I will entertain a motion to accept.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion made by Joe, seconded by Doris. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. As far as old business, I guess, we're still kind of working on. We got Aaron here from Commonwealth to give us his lay of the land on the 3 proposals and open that up for questions as we're trying to move forward to see which direction we are going to go towards and the amounts. So Aaron,
So I passed a couple handouts out. I sent the email out. If you guys don't have it, I'll get your emails afterwards and stuff. I think at this point here, following last meeting, there were a couple comments on some alternative modifications, etc. We're looking at it and then giving a handout for everybody to review. The memo that you guys have or can get, basically summarize pros and cons of the three alternatives. You remember alternative one was decorative lighting everywhere. Alternative two was just trailhead lighting. Alternative three was trailhead lighting with dew pole lightings as well. Each one of those alternatives are generally given a description. They have a cost estimate with it. There's also figures in there that generally kind of show preliminary pole placements. They're really just in there to show the number of poles in general alignment. The actual locations of all of those poles, whether it be decorative lighting and or dew poles, will all be done during the detail design. This is just the study portion of the project. And then there's a proposed recommended alternative that's just kind of my understanding of what the town was most interested in and why I gave a proposed alternative, a proposed selective alternative. That's all it is. I think best case is the board take that review of the document, get general list of notes, whatever questions, notes, comments you guys have on it. If the board just gives that to me, whether that goes to David, Rachel, Doris, whoever, Lori, whoever sends me those comments, I can review those comments. I can then take that document, revise it as needed to address comments or provide a response in regard to those comments. To just try to make sure that the report not only kind of covers all the alternatives, but also covers any questions that the board may have. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to talk to you guys and explain why things were done or proposed to be done in some way. But it would be good to put all the comments into a document so that it's there so everybody can reference back to during the detail design. Because the next step of this report is to go to the design portion of it, which is actually putting pen to paper, going out there, confirming where all these poles are to go or are not to go. Actually getting Duke online to provide supplemental lighting if that's the alternative that's chosen, et cetera, and actually doing the detailed design portion of it. So I think it'd be good to get all the comments into that document. So then, as Commonwealth moves forward as design, I've got something to make sure that I'm following what the town's thoughts are and what their outcome of the project is, as well as allows for the town or the board to go back and understand, okay, he's doing this, why is he doing that? Oh, that's right. And this document here, it kind of said this was our proposed solution. So really probably you guys taking it, reviewing it, making comments on it and asking questions, etc.
Is there any way that we could get a
It's supposed to be better.
larger scale diagram of?
It was intended to be 11 by 17s, and then I'll get full-size drawings as well that I'll lay up here that you guys can have. It was intended to be 11 by 17 for you to actually be able to read it. Just for some reason the printer didn't like it. Yeah.
Obviously, just of the one that we're leaning towards.
Yep.
So
I'll probably try to use. I'll just plan on dropping those copies off that has 11 by 17s here. I think I'll be passing by here on either Thursday or Friday, either tomorrow or Friday. I'll just leave them up here at Lori. Then I'll have the full size as well as 11 by 17.
Now, one thing on this, according to the cons, this is only putting lights on the poles that are currently existing.
Or alternative 3.
Yes.
Yes, plus the decorative lighting.
Okay. So say one of the questions that was raised last time is I think it was actually your concern is how far away some of those poles are from the trail.
Mhm.
So is it even possible to sink new poles?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do it. What I don't know is the ownership of those poles. That'd be something they'd be coordinated with Duke. So, I mean, for example, the Beaver Crossing area. I mean, the other alternative would be right is take the existing poles and then run an overhead back to that area and do a drop if we can't go underground, right? I don't know if we would really want to say if a pole is say 35 foot off of the trail, if we want to go and set a new pole, 15 or 20 feet north of it. I don't know Duke would really buy for that, and I think it'd be pretty pricey as well. I didn't walk the trail. One of the engineers in our office walked the trail, and basically that general proposed Duke pole arrangement is when poles are within 15 to 20 feet or so.
Okay.
Which, I mean, if they're within 15 to 20 feet, it's not right on the pole. You're still going to get a good light over the general area of that trail.
Sure.
Like I said, I do want to make sure everybody's clear. Like, you know, the supplementing the Duke pole isn't going to have where you're going to have an area. Say the pole lights an area of a 75-foot radius. The next pole is not going to necessarily illuminate its 75-foot radius that butts up next to that 75-foot radius. It's going to be like your standard street lights where you're going to have a cone of light that goes from 100% lighting down to 0%. And then there may be a slight gap between there, or there may be butt up next to each other. But I mean, the trail is not going to be lit to the point where you can just carry a paper down the trail in the middle of the night and read it. The intent is to just light the trail, deter any trouble that may be there, and just give general guidance of you walking from point A to point B wherever you're going on that trail.
David and I kind of discussed too, maybe even the possibility of doing some ground lighting just in an area that doesn't have a lot of light in it to at least show the direction of the
Right.
trail.
This is the trail.
Basically, and being Beaver Lane, if that's what its official name is now, I don't know.
Beaver Crossing.
Beaver Crossing.
Give a sign.
That,
Yeah.
that you can see where the trail is since it's between two bodies of water.
And it's exact.
So,
And to be clear, this alternatives don't necessarily show lights there just because there's no infrastructure there. That doesn't mean that it's not. That doesn't mean that it's impossible to light.
right.
That just means some sort of compromise between the two proposed lighting techniques are going to have to be made in order to get there. Maybe it is to get a pole, the adjacent pole, run a new pole across the road. If you're going to run a new pole across the road and then do a drop there to feed those lights, that's one thing versus, just offsetting a pole every 500 feet to try to provide the lights. There's obviously ways to light it. That area, it's probably, it can be a little bit of the preliminary, like the study/report section of it, but at some point it needs to be a detailed design because it's really going to have to be determined how difficult can we get there. I mean, that conduit, as you know, I mean, they can, it doesn't need to be 3, 4, 5 foot deep. I mean, they can, if they do have to run power below grade, I mean, it would just be a foot, 18 inches deep in that point there just to get, maybe there's just two poles. I think if I remember right, it goes up, back around like this. Maybe it's just a pole on the entrance, the backside, and this point or something, or some form of lighting to light that up.
There's just a body of water between the.
There's a body of water right at
Yeah.
I'll call it the hip, right?
Two bodies of water.
The point where it snakes around, there's a body of water on this side and this side of it, right? It goes around one and splits the other one, right? I think,
Yeah.
right?
Because you also have because you got the bridge,
Mhm.
which I think the bridge can be illuminated by, there's a pole very close to it. And I think it can actually have a light on it and shine on the bridge. It's just once you go past the bridge that you're going to get into darkness.
But then even on that bridge, I mean, we could look at some form of like architectural lighting when it comes to that point there and put it on every other pole to light that bridge up too. That's where your low voltage lighting, in my opinion, David, would come into benefit is to light that bridge up. If you did every other pole along that bridge that then shine down or something like that to shine.
I will go back in and find the email that I tried to send out. I've been having problems up here in Linville. Showing some low voltage, which is in the other state parks, which may work, may not work. I understand. That's one alternative. The second one is to have Duke come in and do something else, and we drill and cut and whatever we have to do. The third, is it possible to put wire, if we use the regular voltage, this is where I don't know. Can we put it in some type of conduit and run in the tree line, kind of sort of come down and mount it instead of trying to dig? In case we get in there, I think if you come in there and start trying to dig, you're going to hit rock. I don't think you're going to be able to get through that rock.
I don't think you would want to lay conduit on grade, even if it's outside of like what would be typical.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, they obviously I don't know the exact terminology. I think it's OS like OS cable, which is basically your extension cord cable, right? Where it's in theory, it's protected and insulated to a manner where it's not just your typical jacketing. No, but man, I'd hate to do that. Somebody playing with it or hit it with a shovel and it being exposed and nobody know it's there, etc. But they do make cable that, I mean, if you look at all your cable underground, the majority of your cable is all direct vary cable, which is that same insulation type as an extension cord, except thicker. So, to answer your question,
There's another alternative.
I'm sure you could. It just would be, is that an option that we would want to look at? And I don't think there's a code issue there, but I'm not a code guy on the electrical side. That's a good point.
We've got a price in there of $300,000, $220,000.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, since we're in an official meeting and it's being recorded too, the price of the lighting the entire trail with decorative lighting and the call stations, which consist of 125 lights, 5 call stations, and installation construction cost is over 1.3 million. So
Yeah, and
for the general public to know,
yeah,
I
and that is kind of not necessarily a guess, but I mean, because you'd be
Yeah.
potentially looking at multiple control panels at that
Yeah.
point there, because your wire size to go from one end of the trail to the other would be so extensive.
So this is the financially prudent thing to try to do at this point is
For sure.
as purveyors of the taxpayers' dollars.
I think alternative two
We're
and
trying
three.
to look at.
I think alternative 2 and 3 are definitely obviously the most cost-effective solutions. I really think alternative 3, in my opinion, really hits what Linville's intent is. Again, it's not going to be lit to the point like you're driving down Main Street in downtown Indianapolis or Evansville, but I really think by supplementing Duke pole lighting, it's really going to hit what the intent of the town's need is to light that trail.
And then
Have you been up to Honeyberg, to their trail at
I
night?
have not been to the trail, no.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You ought to go there. It's, the lighting it's perfect. It's not real bright, but it's like, and it shines down and it's just soothing.
Yeah.
But if you get a chance, you may want to just drive up there.
that's the trail that goes by the light.
Like when you go up, what's it, 64, the old 64, yeah, it's on the right hand side.
I think it's close to the Buffalo Trace Golf Course area, I think, isn't it?
So. Did you ever look into expandability?
Yeah, so I mean, the way that the Duke poles are, they're kind of independent. So I mean, that's expandability is as many as you want or as many as you want to add or need in the future, depending on pole availability, right? The trail lights themselves or the decorative lights themselves, since they're so small, they're likely going to be individual drops anyways with maybe small meter bases. So, going through that portion of it, as you get a drop for a meter base and say Duke does require a meter base, that would just be a disconnect or a small control panel there that would maybe have a couple of spares in there in the event that there was ever wanted to expand additional decorative lighting on each other trail where you could have a place to land a home run and run that home run back to wherever you're going.
And to do that would be just probably a little bit more, but not.
Yeah, I mean, you would
Not
just
a
look
deal
at a
breaker
different,
for it.
just basically a different size panel. I mean,
Okay.
instead of having a single, and again, I don't know exactly how Duke's going to require it. They really don't start answering those questions honestly until you actually start asking or for like drop requests. I mean, even wastewater treatment plant projects that you need a 200 amp service, or 2000 amp service, you really don't get a bunch of information until you actually start going through the drop request to them. But yeah, it would just be a slightly larger panel that your drop would go into your meter base and then go into whatever control panel that's got a disconnect there. So you just have to make sure the disconnect can be sized to handle A, more than one light, and B, the backside of that disconnect would have spares available if you ever wanted to run more home runs out of that panel to
Again, just clarification, if they so choose to go towards option 3, if we ever want, and then somebody comes up and donates $500,000 to us, we can then move towards option 2. Within that, do we need any more? Is that gonna change things up, or will they merge in together for option 1?
Yeah, so
Is it gonna be a seamless combination, or since if we go ahead on 3 and then we decide we want to do more because we've gotten more funds, does that dirty up the waters, I guess?
I don't think it would be 100% seamless, only because I think if you were to continuously add, so say you were going to go from 8 decorative lights to say 50 decorative lights. I mean, you're talking a whole control panel at that point instead of like individual little small drops. You would likely have a new drop that then would feed all your new lights. Now, you could potentially, a lot of those poles, you could put a yard box on the backside that then you could put joints and make terminations underground to then feed your existing lights from that control panel potentially. If you were going to add, say, 40 lights to the project, in my opinion, the expandability would be you would put a control panel or 2 control panels to then control those 50 lights or 40 lights, and then you would be able to dump the 8 existing on there, but it wouldn't be as simple as saying I'm going to unplug this and replug that. Just the way that I'm assuming is going to be the easiest and most feasible way to power those 8 lights. So like out here, the street lights you have here, right? You've got this control panel that's got spares in it, for example, right? If
Right.
there were spare conduits ran out of there, for example, where you could pull new wire from, blah, 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 that's a lot easier than if each one of these lights had 1 or 2 drops per. If each pole here had a drop, it'd be a lot more difficult than add 8 more poles or 8 more lights without having to set a whole standalone system. Because basically the trail is going to have 8 individual lights. Probably. And that's probably the only way you can do it unless we're going to look to run thousands and thousands and thousands of feet of conduit wire.
And when you were, because I can't really tell on the diagram, the decorative lighting we talked last time, the 2 trail entrances, which is the trail head, which is this former Swim Beach building, and then the park entrance, okay? And the decorative lighting is split between those 2, or did you have the parking lot for decorative lighting too?
Parking lot. And the parking lot would likely be like the floodlight style instead of the acorn style. So there would be one that would shine, say, from east to west, and one that would shine, say, from west to east and overlook that way, which would then light that first portion of that trail itself.
So how many?
This should be a total of, I think I figured a total of 8.
You figured 8, but
So you have 4 trailheads, which would be technically 2 per trailhead, so 1 on each side of each trailhead. And maybe it doesn't need 2, maybe it just needs 1. But I think 2 would be good if I had a driveway that looked like this here, right, to come into, if you put one just offset here and here.
it's the only place I can see that, that just from what I'm visualizing and what I had been thinking about is at the park entrance, because that area does tend to be a little more open for a longer stretch, or do we add any more decorative lighting along there? But you're saying 2 on each side of the park entrance. Okay.
I think it would just make it better.
I mean, I think-
Thanks.
The 2 lights instead of before at the park entrance.
Well, the park, I'm saying main park entrance.
Main park.
The main park entrance would have 2 on each side of the drive, 1 on each side of the drive.
1 on each side.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so 1 on each side of the drive, and then where the potential new park entrance, 1 on each side there. And then 2 more floodlight styles at the parking lot to really light that parking lot up. And then however we need to make it tie in at, near Tecumseh's entrance, maybe it's 2 there, maybe it's 1 there, and then 1 closer. Is there like a little bridge that goes over a ditch there in between Tecumseh School and the first? There's not. I thought
Oh,
That's
this,
just-
oh, you may be thinking.
Just a culvert, it's a
there's
culvert.
a culvert right there. So maybe there's 2 on that side of it, 1 on each side, etc. Like I said, the actual layout stuff would be something we go through the details of.
So 2 at each trailhead, and then at the parking lot, say again, how many extra would be around the parking lot at the trailhead?
Including the trailhead would just be that 2. It'd be like more like the floodlight style lights.
Okay, they'd
Like
just
a
be
park-
different.
Yeah, they'd just be different style lights to really light that.
So it would light the parking lot and the first part of the trail. Parking lot definitely needs some flaggers.
Yeah.
And like I said, once we design, maybe it's just one in the parking lot on the southeast corner shining toward the trail. Then there's another one at the entrance itself as you get off of out of the parking lot. Because the parking lot's not huge, a good size floodlight could light that up pretty well.
So it sounds like, I don't want leading, but it sounds like we got a consensus that number 3 is the option to be looking at this point, at least budgetarily, so we can figure out what we can go ahead with. If I'm reading this right, we've got available 232,000, plus we're getting another 66 or 67 back from due, which means we've got about $299,000 to spend if we want to spend it. This option looks like,
Are you including the actual, trail grant as well?
that's already been deducted out, the way I understood it.
Yeah, we should have been sitting right at 3.
So we can clarify, it doesn't really matter. What I'm trying to do is if we want to move forward, if the
Oh, I'm sorry.
development board wants to do that, they're going to be approving at this point to go towards the 220,000 budget number, still wanting to get a hard budget once before we approve the project. But I want to.
What I'm saying
the momentum of
Is
going
there's
forward.
$93,000 for trail lighting not in this? That is in a separate account. That's the bond. The money.
It's right here.
Mhm. And that was the matching grant part.
Mhm.
And so that money is sitting in a separate account and we have paid one Commonwealth bill out of it. So I think we're at 93,000. So there's 93,000 that's not included in here that is available.
So what you're saying is we may have 400,000. 83?
93.
I heard
How
a
much?
voice from the,
What was the voice from beyond? We're done. Okay, I'm not sure how much Aaron has billed us for lighting, so that's the only thing that has come out of it is our Commonwealth lighting bill, so.
but we're not,
Yeah.
we're not getting up to option 2.
Well, option 2 is less than
Yeah,
3.
Option one was the,
You're
Option
not
10
at
was
one
big.
point three
No, we're
million
not
yet,
gonna
so
make it to 1.3
keep trying.
million.
I think the
We could move forward on 3 with the
Yeah.
knowledge that we may be able to move forward on 2 before we get to the bidding process.
Well-
As we schedule out our funds. Is
Yeah,
that
so-
correct?
Yeah, so I think I would really like you guys to make sure that you guys are okay with the plan based off of this. I think
2 is less than 3, David.
Yeah, it's
It was only
140,000.
the heads.
Yeah, 2 is, so 3 is our middle run of the road.
Okay, so 3 is what we're wanting to
Yeah.
go to.
Right.
You got enough to get up to 1.3?
No.
No.
Okay, then let's.
I
Okay,
think-
so I just said the numbers
Yeah.
wrong, so.
Because the decorative lighting is only 6
Yeah.
at the number 2.
But
And
in my
number 3 has 8.
opinion, something that we need to something that needs to be looked at and we need to figure out a dollar amount is if we're gonna light the trail to make it safe, we need to know what it's gonna take to do the beaver crossing area.
Right.
Before we even say, hey, I wanna vote, I wanna do this, yes, we're all doing it. We need to know how much more that is going to add. I know you can't do that
I
right.
agree. I think what I would like for you guys to do is make sure you have no issues with these alternatives and review them in that manner. In that meantime, I can look to get a lighting study done. It may take a couple of weeks, but I can look to get a lighting study done that will kind of show even just the proposed lighting locations of even Duke poles. It's, even though it's not their lights, but those guys can kind of fudge in similar style illuminated lights, etc. Right? And then fudge those in, and then before you guys pull that trigger to make sure, because maybe you're not comfortable with it only going to light. Maybe there's going to be 500-foot gaps between lights, and that's not what Linville wants, right? But I think I would like to do that lighting study as you guys are reviewing this. Then I can give that as a supplemental attachment that you guys can review as well.
What is that lighting study, Brian?
It's
I figured the dollar figure.
the contractor or the lighting supplier will do it.
So on this alternative 3, I've seen it where it says Duke pole lighting only 1.
The lump sum.
Okay,
Yep, just a lump sum amount. There's a calculation on the back side.
okay, okay.
Yeah. That works out like it. I'm not gonna go. It's a small son.
Okay.
It's a small son.
All these voices, and let you on my record. We're not approving anything tonight. We're just saying this is the direction we want him to go and make sure that everybody on the board is okay with that. And then we start looking at other options as we move forward before we get to the approval phase, is the way I see it.
Exactly. Yeah, I just wanted to get here, give you guys an update, give you guys a chance to look at this stuff. I can work on the line study on the backside, just and then and give me another couple weeks to usually see if I can get a little more answers on Duke like that.
Well, having said that, that's option number
Three.
Three.
Okay.
They're out of order. I
Okay,
understand.
okay. So I've been corrected. So what I would like to have is a motion not to accept, but just to move forward with option number 3 until we can get some more finalized pricing information gathered. We're not accepting it. We're just trying to keep the momentum going towards the project.
Which I'm under contract to continuously do this year, and I've not done anything outside of our original scope. So there's no issues with me continuously sorting this stuff out. So not a problem. It's within my contract to do so.
So the board, does the board have any other, does the board have any other questions? If not, I would entertain some type of motion to continue moving forward with this. And then we can schedule a meeting, once Aaron gets us the information, and we can keep going down that road.
I make a motion based on, number 3,
I'll second.
that, we do the lighting study and figure out all the details out based on number 3. Understood?
And I will second that motion.
Motion has been made by Joe and seconded by Doris to continue down this process. And I'll bring to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You got your marching orders. If we continue to go forward, if you have questions, let's try to get them to Aaron. We will schedule another meeting once he starts giving us some numbers. So we got some ideas. And if anybody's got any plans or other questions, bring them to me or to Aaron or to
Do you want to
Rachel.
schedule a tentative meeting? Cause you
I do
said,
not, because I don't know how long it's.
Yeah, my biggest concern is going to be for the lighting stuff. And again, they're usually pretty quick. It's usually 2 weeks or so, but
give us a good heads
I
up,
will.
because it'll be the holidays too.
and that's my only issue.
You know, that's why I said.
Getting into the holidays now, and everything
Yeah.
used to take 2 weeks now
Yeah.
takes 3 weeks. But I will get on it first thing tomorrow, and I'll have him give me an idea of what he thinks timing is, and then I'll share that with everybody at that point there to help.
Construction and all this isn't gonna take place until spring anyway, so
Spring, summer.
we are in good shape once we get approvals to move forward. It's just getting the approvals done.
No, I want it all done before the new year.
Yeah, it could be. 26 or 5. There's a lot of New Year's.
Okay, any other questions, information to come for development board tonight? Anybody have anything? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for.
What about, sorry, what about
what
the,
about, sorry?
the Duke, money? Did you ever hear back from them on
Yes.
getting it back?
We are working on that. They
Okay.
assured us it's coming back. We are now in the process of contacting them, giving them the bond company's name so they can refund it directly back into the bond.
They wanted to know which
It's
account.
happening. It's coming.
They wanted to know which account to put it in.
It should happen sometime in the next week or two, I would think. I would hope. Before our next meeting, we were scheduled. Okay, now, any other questions? No, Doris wants to do something here.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion by
Rachel, do you want
Doris,
anything in this?
seconded by Hap. All in favor?
Yeah.
Meeting is adjourned at 6:30.